Howdy everyone, and welcome to the Serial Geek TV YouTube channel. My name is James Eatock, and today I present to you 50 things about Inspector Gadget. So without any further ado, let us begin. Andy Hayward came up with the idea for Inspector Gadget whilst working on Dynamite Dog Wonder. If you know anything about that show, which features an inept gadget-filled canine, then you can easily see the parallels. Some of the early development work for Inspector Gadget seemed to suggest a transformative aspect to the character, with his head becoming a telephone and him transforming into a motorcycle. As is revealed in the episode The Amazon, Professor von Slickstein is the genius that gave the Inspector all of his gadgets. The original Inspector Gadget action figure is incredibly rare and worth a great deal of money. I even saw it on display at an animation museum in San Francisco many moons ago. He was of course voiced by Don Adams, the actor pretty much reprising his iconic role as Maxwell Smart from the memorable Get Smart TV series. Little tangent, as a kid I saw Inspector Gadget first, so you can imagine that I was somewhat shocked the first time I saw a rerun of Get Smart. In the original pilot episode, Inspector Gadget was voiced by Jesse White, then revoiced in the same pilot by Gary Owens, and finally by Don Adams. And Frank Welker voices a single line of Gadget's dialogue in the fourth version of the pilot episode to explain why the character has a moustache.
You know, Uncle, I really like your new mustache.
Thanks, Penny. It's so that nobody will recognize me. I'm on vacation, absolutely, completely, and totally off duty. Holy mountain goat, that's the top secret gadget phone.
Due to the character's ego, he gladly accepts the aid of Corporal Cape Man in season 2 of the series, as the dim-witted sidekick is full of nothing but praise for the Inspector. On two separate occasions, Inspector Gadget was called a pervert, a rather striking piece of dialogue for a cartoon of the 1980s.
Excuse me.
Insect.
Young lady, I am a police inspector.
You're a pervert.
Obviously, that woman has no respect for law enforcement.
Famously, the pilot episode of Inspector Gadget features the lead character with a moustache. Due to similarities with Inspector Clouseau and a possible legal threat, Deke hurriedly revised the design. A piece of artwork exists that shows Inspector Gadget with a stereotypically pencil-thin French moustache before being completely erased from the character design. In my video titled The Competent Inspector Gadget, I highlighted the fact that Gadget is actually far more aware of his surroundings in the pilot, with our hero becoming far more bumbling and unaware of everything going on around him in the series that followed. Inspector Gadget is quite the accomplished driver, chasing down Dr. Claw on one occasion. Gadget most definitely had a thing for the ladies, though most of the time they didn't have a thing for him. And yes, that is indeed Brain, his loyal dog, whom Gadget is besotted with in this scene. Best not think about it. You may think that Gadget wears nothing but his trench coat, but we do get to see him in the shower. Wait, hear me out. I'm showcasing this scene as we see that despite all of his gadgets, the scientists did a rather incredible job hiding the seams of Gadget's cybernetic parts. Normally, Chief Quimby would give Gadget a message, the inspector would read it and hand it back to Quimby, upon which point it would explode. However, in the episode Mad Trap, we see something rather unique. Inspector Gadget gives Quimby a self-destructing message asking him for work. It goes about as well as you would expect for the Chief. Inspector Gadget's more familiar action figure line, you know, the one that revealed what Dr. Claw looked like, had him sport a variety of different coloured costumes. Then again, this was the early 90s and we all know how infamously colourful Batman became with those toys based on the animated series. Yikes. Actually, if Inspector Gadget was coloured to look like those action figures, here's what he would have looked like. Dusan Mitrovic working his magic once again. Also, here's what Batman would have looked like with his toy colour scheme. The Dark Knight indeed. In 1991, a set of trading cards revealed Inspector Gadget's origin, and these were official, so we have to assume that this origin is the same as what we would have seen in the cartoon. He suffered a near fatal slip on a banana peel. The surgery saw him undergo a unique transformation into Inspector Gadget. According to that very same trading card set, Inspector Gadget has more than 13,000 crime-fighting gadgets, which, when you really think about it, boggles the mind. We actually see Gadget out of work in the episode Gadget's Replacement. Poor Inspector Gadget, at least for a moment or two, is unemployed. Whilst the introduction sequence shows Inspector Gadget bumbling his way towards Dr. Claw, the original introduction, featuring the moustached competent inspector, sees him actually notice and pursue Mad to their base of operations. It's fair to say that Gadget isn't the most attentive of boat pilots. Andy Hayward revealed in an interview that roughly 150 sketches were produced in the development of the character of Inspector Gadget. Inspector Gadget proved to be such a popular character in the UK that he was given his own weekly comic strip in the pages of the very popular Look-In magazine. In the episode Snaking All Over, we get a quick glimpse of what lies beneath Inspector Gadget's hat, and sure enough, it's hair. Why do I bring this up, you ask? In the special Inspector Gadget Saves Christmas, produced a few years after the series, Gadget falls into some deep snow, revealing a bald head. Yep. Now, I believe this simply to be a joke on the part of the animators, and honestly, if you've ever watched Inspector Gadget Saves Christmas, then you'll be more than aware of the rather subpar animation. Gadget proves that he ain't afraid of that ghost in the episode Ghost Catchers. Look at him go! After the passing of Don Adams, Maurice LaMarche was cast as his replacement in the various projects that followed. And look, there's a photo of Maurice and I from the time we worked together on the Real Ghostbusters DVD box set. Speaking of Maurice LaMarche, he played a live-action Inspector Gadget when the character appeared in the Super Mario Bros. TV series, also from Deep.
Till next time, everybody, do the Mario!
In the final episode of the series, we see Inspector Gadget as a baby, as we learn that Gadget was present during the St. Patrick's Day massacre. Oddly, he seems to have a Gadget hat, so go figure. The events of that day are said to have occurred 50 years ago. This would make Inspector Gadget 50 to 51 years old. In the early development of the character, prior to him having his Gadget hat, his gadgets would emerge from the top of his head. In a rather terrifying development sketch of the character, we see Inspector Gadget split in two in order to become a ladder. Eek. Gadget quotes the late great boxing legend Muhammad Ali in the episode Health Spa when he states that he will float like a butterfly, sting like a bee. In the episode Basic Training, which features one of my favourite animated sequences as our hero attempts to ride the train, Inspector Gadget and Dr. Claw interact with one another directly, though Gadget has no idea to whom he is speaking. The movie starring Matthew Broderick gave Inspector Gadget the real name of John Brown. Incidentally, I went to see that movie during an extended lunch break from work. I rather enjoyed it. In reference to his real name, an official book was released a few years back revealing that in the Geek cartoon, Inspector Gadget's real name was Augustin Tamare. Besides his gadgets, the Great Inspector appears to have impressive lung capacity. In a story that traverses 3 episodes, we meet Inspector Gadget's ancestors, a gadget from prehistoric times, Gadgetorum from Roman times, and Char and Chimney Gadget, his great-grandparents from 19th century England. Inspector Gadget looked at his best when animated by the always appreciated on this channel Japanese studio Tokyo Movie Shinsha. And speaking of TMS, without the existence of Tokyo Movie Shinsha's famed anime character Lupin III, there's a strong chance that Inspector Gadget would not exist, as Deke and TMS were looking to work together on a spin-off of Lupin, but it never quite happened. In the development of Inspector Gadget, it was suggested that his nose could act as a boomerang. Inspector Gadget makes numerous cameos in the Heathcliff cartoon, specifically the catalytic cat segments. But that's a video for another time because the cameos go both ways. In the episode Ghost Catchers, we see that Inspector Gadget is quite the dancer, though, unless I'm mistaken, he's most definitely not leading here. In the pilot episode, when Gadget's inflatable coat explodes, a bizarre blink and you'll miss it frame has him with no body whatsoever. Weird. By far, Inspector Gadget's most famous gadget is his gadget copter, which he uses to evade many a peril. Inspector Gadget starred in a 22-episode TV series titled Inspector Gadget's Field Trip, which aired on the History Channel and was a travelogue program for children in which the animated Gadget would show viewers many different famous locations around the world via live-action clips with historical facts. One of the more well-known spin-offs of Inspector Gadget was the mid-90s show Gadget Boy, which featured a character seemingly unrelated to Inspector Gadget. The series also saw Don Adams and Maurice LaMarche return to voice principal cast members Gadget Boy and G9 respectively. Inspector Gadget actually starred in his very own version of the Deke logo. Sadly, due to the ownership changing time since the end of Deke, the logo is, for the most part, lost to time. Not only does Inspector Gadget have an electric keyboard inside his hat, but he can play his own theme song. Also, I think he's been watching Close Encounters of the Third Kind a few too many times. Inspector Gadget's moustache does return in an episode, well, kind of. In the episode The Infiltration, Gadget has to utilise a disguise, and sure enough, it does come with a moustache. Okay, so it's more of a Groucho Marx thing than anything, but you know. And finally, although not being heavily merchandised in the 1980s, Inspector Gadget has continued to find a strong place in pop culture, being familiar to generations both old and new. And that's it for this video. Thank you for watching. Please be sure to like, comment, share and subscribe.